We're going to move on now to a general task force discussion that we've agendized, and if people have questions about next steps, we can address that. I think as part of this discussion. We've 30 minutes or so, and the purpose of this item is really for task force members to share any comments or ideas that they have based upon the presentations to date, or information that they want to share that you as task force members would like to share with each other. This agenda item is really intended to support integrative task force engagement and dialogue. So just a quick participant guidelines for this, for those of you who haven't been participating in the Q&A. Again, to enter the queue to speak, we ask that you raise your hand, and you do that by clicking on the participant pod, which is at the bottom of your screen. And then at the bottom of the participant pod, you'll see a raised hand icon that you can click to raise your hand to get in the queue. When you're done, we ask that you please lower your hand. As task force members, when it's your turn to speak, you can unmute yourself and then mute again when you're finished. If you're not able for whatever reason to communicate orally, you're also welcome to share thoughts that you might have in the chat, and we will read those out loud for everybody else. So at this point, we're also proposing that we're going to leave the I think we're going to leave the presentation mode. I'm going to stop sharing so that your views of each other are more apparent, and invite folks to come off of or to come on video at this point. And invite people to select your view so that ideally you're seeing a grid view and you can see a number of the different participants. And I think if you look at the layouts at the top of your screen, you should be able to make that change. So here I'm gonna pause and I guess we can I can also take a look at whether task force members have their hands up, but I'm also looking at Tushar or Mike Salat or others who might want to open up this discussion in the meantime. And please, those of you who would like to weigh in here, please again raise your hand so we can manage that queue. I see Harry Vorhoff's hand up. Harry, if you could again introduce yourself in terms of your affiliation, and then please share. Oh, Harry, you're on mute. Still can't hear you. Still not hearing you, Harry. Kyle, any advice?
Hello. Can you hear me now? Sorry about that. Long day and moved locations. I just wanted to, sorry, with all that hype and build up, I just wanted to thank BOEM, Director Leston, Regional Director Slata, Chara, for all the hard work that went into this, and all the presenters. Clearly, a ton of work has already been done to get us, to where we are in terms of a baseline understanding of kind of existing uses and conditions in the Gulf of Mexico. So I just wanted to express appreciation for all the work that's gone into this, and look forward to this conversation continuing over time and next week with the sessions that we've planned out to really continue the conversation and dig a little deeper. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Harry. Are there other task force members who would like to, I guess, share perspectives or ideas with the rest of the task force? Now that you're in some ways getting to know each other and work with each other in this capacity.
I'll follow up with another comment or question that I wasn't able, or I didn't ask earlier, but I believe it was Walt who mentioned a supply chain study that is either ongoing or just getting started, looking at the kind of the eastern seaboard and offshore wind development there, and just kind of wanted to raise that as something that listening to the presentations, offshore wind development in the Gulf of Mexico is what this task force is really focused on, but we are keeping our eye on the East Coast and thinking about how there are opportunities for the supply chain, the local supply chain, or Gulf of Mexico supply chain to really assist in bringing the cost down on the East Coast, and that will help with the development in the Gulf of Mexico. So just perhaps, that might be to start conversation or get more information on that study.
Well, thank you for that question here. I don't know if Walt is still with us here to weigh in, but I don't know if there are others from Walt who could provide more information on the availability of that kind of information.
Hey,
oh yeah, go ahead.
Hey, this is Mike Salata. So I would just say, we can reach out to Walt and get some more information on that. I think, as Harry said, that's clearly not the focus of this task force, but understanding. So being from Louisiana myself since for a long time now, and having conversations with folks, understanding supply chain and the desire to support other parts of the Atlantic coast. So we can follow up with him on that question. And I think, that would, I'm looking forward to Wind Week next week myself, and looking at it from a different perspective and hearing, from the state and kind of moving forward. I think, and there was a lot. I totally understand it's late in the day. There was a lot of information today, right? And so I also want to volunteer, and really, I was going to wrap this up a little bit later, but my team, all the folks from BOEM, to be available. I would just ask to go through Tushara. I know that that's probably going to overwhelm her, but it would be easier to funnel answers and get them to the right people and get them back to people in a more timely fashion than kind of a shotgun approach. Yeah, I learned a lot today, I have to say, and I appreciate the other federal partners. I was particularly interested in seeing the hotspots for shrimp fishing. I'd actually never seen that display before, and so we're going to be reaching out to folks again to capture that data and information. Maybe I think move it into marine cadastre or whatever is the appropriate tool for everybody to have access for. I know we all have different decisions to make in the process. And so part of this task force is to gather all that information and put it in a place so people can make the appropriate decisions that they need to make. For BOEM, we're looking at renewable energy siting over some period of time with looking for competitive interest, clearly looking for feedback from the experts out there, those looking to put in a potential wind farm or looking to create green hydrogen opportunities. And the timing was we happened to have this RFI out at the same time, and we managed to, sometimes in the federal government things don't work out, but it worked out well. And so we have 45-day comment period. I know we have a public period later after this session, but if you can't get to us, and feel free to comment through that process, because we definitely want this to work. I definitely have a lot of confidence in the ability of all the partners in the Gulf of Mexico to work well together. We've done it before. I've said this. It's energy. It's just a different form of energy. And, I think I'm looking for us to kind of show everyone else how it's done. So I appreciate everybody being here today.
All right. Thank you very much, Mike. I see that Chet Chazon has his hand up, if you'd like to jump in.
Yes, thank you very much. I just wanted to echo with.
Oh, and Chet, if you can introduce yourself again with affiliation.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm Chet Chazon. I'm the director for Port Fourchon here in South Louisiana, immediately on the Gulf of Mexico. I think I'm excited to listen to everything that was said today, and excited about the opportunity to play a role in the success of any offshore energy in the Gulf of Mexico, especially this new opportunity for offshore wind, as well as the transmission side and how we can actually get that power back in and to the grid because of where we're located. I think we can play a key role in that. So I'm excited about the discussion that we've had today. I know there's a lot of challenges, but we've been through a lot of challenges for sure. So thank you for all of the time, for everyone's time and all the presentations, and looking forward to continuing the work of the task force and seeing this to fruition.
Great. Thank you very much for that comment, Chet. And noticing that Walt Musial has joined us again. And so, Harry Borhoff, if you wanted to perhaps ask again the question you had posed that Walt might be able to answer. Walt, if you're able to weigh in, would be great.
Yeah, sorry, I got dropped off. I'm back on now.
All good, and I realize this is not can you hear me? Okay. I realize that this is not kind of outside the primary purview of this meeting, but just thinking about your projections of when offshore wind in the Gulf of Mexico will be economical, kind of looking at the 2030 range. That part of that is reducing overall costs of construction and development, and the role that the Gulf of Mexico states and industries within and companies within them can play. And you had mentioned the supply chain study that I think is currently in development, and just curious about some of the details on how you're evaluating existing capacity, whether it's port capacity, fabrication capacity in the Gulf of Mexico, and how it can play a role in kind of not only Gulf region or the East Coast, but kind of, is there a look at sort of a national supply chain, is recognizing that, BOEM is kind of going full steam ahead nationally with the targets for offshore wind development. And so just kind of stop there, and if you have any more information to provide on that.
Well, we do have a national offshore wind supply chain study that just started with the Business Network for Offshore Wind, and I don't have any details that I can give you on what that looks like right now. It just started, and I'm not leading it, but we do have some information, that we, generally, need on how many ports are going to be required in order to serve a certain industry size, and obviously some of that capability already exists, but has to be adapted or augmented to account for larger volumes in steel production, larger assembly mass production of substructures, that sort of thing. And so that hasn't gone on yet. There's also the vessels. So a lot of the vessels that exist right now can't serve the current industry because they don't have the lift heights or the capacities for the weights of some of the turbines that have to be assembled. So those are being just now starting to be built, and we're seeing, but it's not just that we need the vessels, but the region is actually building the vessels, and they have to be US flagged, so to really be efficient. So that's starting to happen right now. So there's a lot of encouraging sides to that supply chain piece. I don't know if I answered all those your questions, but this is the delayed or the later start, I think, to achieving economic viability in the Gulf will probably be beneficial in terms of having a lot of that supply chain built by the time the Gulf is ready to deploy.
All right, thanks. Well, it looks like you helped answer Harry's question there.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
So are there any other task force members who'd like to weigh in at this point? I don't see any other hands up. So just want to do a final ask around that.